Television is dying, or at least television as we knew it is dying. Viewing figures have been steadily declining throughout the past few years. We're watching programs on catch-up more and more, streaming services like Netflix are dominating terrestrial options, and the rise of platforms like YouTube have sent short-form digital content to the forefront of entertainment. But you already knew that. The real anomaly in this paradigm shift is Love Island. Love Island takes all the stats and figures telling us the way we watch television is changing and throws them out the window. This year's opening saw 3.4 million viewers tune into the opening episode, breaking ITV2 records and once again cementing it as the go-to water cooler TV for the summer. Its fan base is staggeringly loyal, creating a huge social media presence for the show via memes, retweets and debates on the contestants and their antics. But why is it so popular in a time where catch-up is king? What makes people come back for more? In fiction, Blake Snyder noted that stories that grab us and hook us have a basis in something primal. Their needs will be something real and simple. Survival, hunger, sex, love, death. He talks about how the best characters are driven by goals that play on our most primal needs, because these wants are easily identifiable in ourselves. Good reality television should absolutely play on those primal needs, and Love Island does this very well. The contestants, or characters, pursue a very basic and primal desire to want and be wanted in return. How we view each of the contestants on Love Island always comes down to the same four things we should feel that really make reality television compelling. 1. That's just like me. 2. That's nothing like me. 3. Thank God that's not me. And finally, to perhaps the biggest extent, 4. I wish that was me. None of these are mutually exclusive to a contestant, and they can all exhibit moments of this from time to time. That's what gives us the nuance after all. But the core cast of characters in the game will exhibit one of these facets predominantly, and these facets are what allow us to get invested in the narrative the show is constructing. 1. That's just like me. When we're first introduced to short-lived contestant Niall, he starts by telling us about his Harry Potter tattoos, indicating that he's a bit of a geek. And geeks are the classic archetype of the underdog. He's probably the slimmest guy in the villa, and despite not being the youngest, he's definitely the most boyish and fun. We might know someone like Niall, or feel that we could be like Niall amongst a sea of high-achieving Adonises. Then take Jack, the guy who was announced and sold as the dad bod contestant. You can see the "that's just like me" feeling reflected in the social media that followed his announcement. If you were to see them both walking down the street in person, you might not think of them as average, but within the context of this constructed reality, Jack and Niall exhibit the same everyman archetype that we identify with from someone such as Indiana Jones or Finn. The same way in which Hollywood movies portray beautiful women as average by sticking a pair of glasses on them, contestants like these are there to try and make us think that they're just like me. Of course, these people aren't really just like us. They have huge social media followings, sometimes in the tens of thousands. But this isn't really real. That's not what reality means. These types of contestants act as our point of view into the series. They give us people who we find easy to root for because we can easily identify with them. This is crucial to allow us to then get characters that make us say, too, that's nothing like me. Take a contestant like Adam. He comes into the villa as the person that's going to shake up the status quo. There's ceremony to his entrance when the others are told a new islander will be joining them. He's 6'5", ripped, and a very handsome man, if I may say so.
Abs on Adam. Jesus.
Oh shit.
He's the complete opposite of the everyman that the show creates in Niall and Jack. Because he's nothing like the average viewer, it makes him an easy pick to be a villain, and boy does he become the villain over the course of the series, moving from one girl to the next with quick succession. Viewers have had plenty to say on his games inside the villa, and it's safe to say there is an element of Adam that is love to hate. But that's the point of his character, and having someone like this not only helps to further humanise people like Jack and Danny, but it gives the viewer a sense of fulfilment. You might not have the height and strength and good looks of Adam, but you might still be able to feel good about yourself knowing that you're not as much of a player. On another note, the show tries to pull the same trick with Sam Bird's entrance, but he's nowhere near as mysterious or interesting to pull this off. This brings us to 3. Thank God that's not me. The best example of watching someone and thinking, thank God that's not me, on this year's show is probably Georgia. Around the midpoint of the series, the boys venture to a secret second villa called Casa Amor, and the girls stay at the original villa during this time. The big shake-up? Well, for both the boys and girls, 6 new contestants will arrive to spend time with them. 6 new girls in Casa Amor, and 6 new boys in the original villa. This is a constructed narrative point to try and see how each of the coupled contestants can perform under strain, how they will react to the lure of other men and women, and how strong their loyalty is. Georgia and Josh are the couple who fall apart in this time. We see Josh get closer and closer to new girl Kaz, whilst cutting back and forth to Georgia, who is becoming increasingly more worried that her boyfriend will have his head turned by someone else. The dramatic irony here is that we know all of Georgia's thoughts and feelings are justified, that Josh really is playing away, and that come the end of the week when the 2 villas are reunited, Georgia is going to get hurt. So what Thank God That's Not Me gives us is empathy. We feel sorry for Georgia because we might know how it feels to be broken up with or lied to. This moment is the crescendo to that. Dr. Alex gives us a slight variation on this, but his Thank God That's Not Me is more cringe-inducing, and we might, cruelly, find his plight amusing rather than sad, like when no one picks him in the initial lineup.
If you fancy Alex, please step forward.
Oh, God. Finally, we have 4. I Wish That Was Me. This is in the DNA of the show. That's partly why people watch the show, for the bodies that can oft seem unattainable, the lifestyle of living in the sun 24 hours a day, and at the end of it, the idea that you can meet the person of your dreams.
I never dreamed that I'd meet somebody like you.
I'm not suggesting that this show is real, but it does show choices and emotions that give us something that is like real. In the same way that when we watch a film and we see 2 characters arguing, we can take something from it, whilst recognising that they are actors working off of a script. Of course, the producers and production team behind Love Island are constructing a show for you to watch. Reality, as a genre, doesn't mean that we're watching real life. We're watching something that has veered away from formalist elements towards realism. Love Island is telling a story with characters that sometimes exhibit real moments. There's a reason why Josh was willing to toss aside the chance to win £50,000 at the end of all this, by risking his popularity with the outside world when he chose to screw Georgia over and couple up with Kaz. Love and lust are primal. Thank you so much for watching our video. If you'd like to see more from Full Fat videos, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. You can see our social media links down below if you want to follow us on things like Twitter. And thank you very much to all our patrons. If you would like to join our Patreon, the link is in the description. We will see you next week.